Hey all, Chris Bassett here, and I'm playing a little Marvel Rivals. I'll be doing a guide for Ironman, beginner's guide, so let's check him out. Here we go. So we all know Iron Man from the movies. Pretty cool, dude in a suit, rich, narcissist. He's a swell fella. I will put on screen a code you can get to unlock this armor. So stay tuned for that for the end of the video, and have that there. You can unlock that. I think it's good until like March or something. So get it while it's hot, boys. All right, we'll check out the abilities. Iron Man has Repulsor Blast as his main fire of attack. They do AoE damage, more damage on direct hits. The Unibeam attack has a beam that fires from his chest. It does hit scan damage and pretty powerful. I think it's a limited range. We'll get into the practice range here, and we'll do some testing and stuff here in a second. But scrolling through the list, your super ability is called the Invincible Pulse Cannon. It's basically the Big Bang attack from Dragon Ball Z's Vegeta. Has a decent range. I think the center of the impact does more damage, and then it has like an outward that spreads to do a little bit less, but still it'll wipe out some of those 250 HP characters. Hypervelocity is your movement for Iron Man. Hold down the on my control setup, it's A, but then you can fly, at an accelerated rate around the map. It can be useful for repositioning or evading attacks. Armor Overdrive, that'll put your armor into a state to boost damage for both your primary Repulsor Blast and your Unibeam damage. I think it also gives you unlimited flight for a time, and then you can use those missiles right here in that state. So the only times you can use those missile barrage is either if you're flying or if you're in the state. I think it's like a 12-second cooldown, so the only time I really use it is when I'm actually in the armor overdrive state. They do more damage, and they seem to be more focused because you can kind of aim them. This season you have a Marvel team-up, so if you got Hulk on your team, you can do extra damage with your Repulsor Blast and your Brain and your Unibeam. So extra damage on that, so try to get your friends to play Hulk. The suggested combo that they recommend is to fire at a distance with the Repulsor Blasts, and then get in close for your Unibeam, and then when your Ultra's charged, then direct it at a large group of enemies. It can be reflected or negated, so try to be sneaky about using it. But, all right, let's head over to the practice arena. And we will try to do try to do some practice and talk about that for a second. Yeah, let me in there! I'm going! Load in. Boys. Yeah, water. Water sucks. Alright, pick him. Here we go.
If you were as smart as me, you'd be arrogant.
So we're gonna head over
Enemies on approach.
Over this away. So something I would recommend is, do come to the practice range, and then I like to set up my controls. So cycle over to your controllers, and then you can select the hero that you want to adjust the controls. So each of the 33 current heroes you can manipulate for, how you feel for each individual hero. So I picked Iron Man. We're going to mess with some of his... Oh, you silly, go to controller. Go to control. I'm playing on controller, and then go to combat. So I was on the keyboard, but anyway. So here, scroll down. I did switch the ascension and descension to these controls over here to the left, so I can, it seems like it's easier to manage if you're just pressing left and right with the two triggers to go up and down. But since Iron Man is always flying, your joystick would move him forward, left, right, back, down. Or, excuse me, forward, back, left, and right. And then the buttons control your up and down. Thanks, Tony. But I moved those controls to fit my fingers. So, scrolling down, I do have the reload button is X. And then the primary fire would be like your RT trigger, and Unibeam is RB. So then my firing buttons would be on the right side, because it feels like Call of Duty shooting stuff with my gun hand. What else we got? You got a melee attack, so your R stick. Tony does use like a blade. So, what's the range on that? Just curious. So, you got to be pretty close to be within melee range. Yeah. To get those hits. Okay. Let's see what else we got. So the B would be the missile barrage, and then A for my hyper velocity. That's the flight mode. I do have a scuff paddle, so you can use like the back stick. That way you can still aim the joysticks while you're holding fly to look around and move. Feels a little more natural. If I didn't have a scuff, or I guess it's my Xbox Elite, you'd have to hold the A button down, and then it'd be awkward. So maybe you might want to, depending on your controller setup, adjust that. So maybe it's like bumper jumper is what I think they used to call it. But that way you can still, aim while you're flying around. All right. So let's see. So I think that's it. What else did I forget? I don't know, Chris. You're running the video. You tell me. Okay. Ultimate's just L stick and R stick depress it. I'm depressed. But okay. So. Iron Man's main thing is he can fly, so that's the big benefit, and it combos well with like his primary weapon, right? You have your primary is a repulsor shot, and you can see it has a pretty generous AOE that still hits. Now, obviously, if you're going to get direct shots, you're going to do more damage, but it is a lot of fun to kind of keep your distance from enemies, peek over cover, and then shoot them at range. And you can build up your ultimate really fast that way, and that's typically how I use it. Your unibeam is, going to do a lot more damage. So if you're trying to like secure a KO, be close, hit the unibeam if you can. I think it has a decent range, but it's not crazy long. It's around 25 meters. And you can hit that. What else? So the primary time I use the unibeam is like if you're in a duel, say
I don't think that's welcoming committee.
A dive character or another flyer, Star-Lord, Spider-Man cause a lot of problems for Iron Man, so it's nice to pick counter heroes to those. But the unibeam will, and since it's hit scan, you basically just got to put the target on them. I had to lower my sensitivity down to like 100 because it seems like I can't track the target if I'm spazzing out. Chris, you're always spazzing. Thank you. Okay, so I got those two types of attacks covered. Let's talk about overdrive. So if you press Y, you go into this animation where your suit powers up. It then does, a considerable amount more damage, and you're in this mode for 10 seconds with a 20-second cooldown. It looks like. So you always want to try to be in that mode whenever possible.
Welcoming committee.
I mean, if there's enemies around, obviously you want to activate it at strategic times, but you're locked in an animation. So say you activate the Y, you're unable to do anything for the 3 seconds that you're in that animation, right? So you want to, and then when you exit it, as I exit this overdrive, as I put the pieces of equipment away on my back, you're vulnerable. So make sure that you're taking cover, you're hiding while you're, just to minimize shots. You can use like I said before, you can use those missiles while flying. I wouldn't really recommend it because it requires you to get super close to use the rockets effectively. You don't really aim them. The optimal time to use the rockets would be in enemy overdrive, because once you activate it, then you can use it and you aim them, and it'll do like AoE damage. So it's just another DPS increase, and you can use it twice per armor overdrive. I like to use it right at the beginning and then right at the end, and you can pepper in some extra damage, especially if the enemies are grouped up in a little clump or a little chunk. You can shoot those rockets down, and it'll do splash damage to weaken them for other attacks or for your team to pick it up. All right, what else we got? The ultimate. So his ultimate, like I said before, it's got pretty big radius. You look at it. There, you can see it does crazy damage. So I think it's one of, if not the only ultimate that can cancel like the Mantis and Luna Snow super heal ultimates, because it does such crazy damage. I think it does like 900 damage. So it'll one-shot like big tanks. Maybe not Venom if he's got boosted 2,000 hit points or whatever it is. But some of the other bigger tank, Groot, I think is like 900. I think you can one-shot him. But then it also has another smaller range. So you have like a direct hit that can do a lot of damage. But then it also has like a smaller range that can still hit the enemies. You can see that secondary ring. So you have that smaller ring, and then a larger ring. So it's actually a bigger ult than you think. It can be reflected, so be careful. I think Captain America's shield can bounce it back at you. Doctor Strange's shield can absorb it. A lot of characters, and it gives you a large wind-up time. So if you come out and the enemy's line of sight and they can see you, and then you just hang out there. What's this? 1, 2. So you're invulnerable for 2 or 3 seconds. And I've been taken out a couple times, so I thought I could, whip in there and then fly behind them and shoot them. Then they just turn around and kill me before I can get it off. All right, what else we got to talk about? So up on the D-pad, we can see some of Iron Man's stats. Hyper velocity. Like I said, I did have that on the back paddle, so I can fly easier. But you can see to the right, there's a bar with a meter, and you can fly with that meter until it's expended. What's this? 7 or 8 seconds probably. You can fly. Then you got to wait for it to be on a cooldown, unless you hit the Y button. Then it's basically, it's the same time, right? You're under the flight mode, both for 10 seconds. I think it's 10 seconds for both to cool down.
I don't think that's the welcoming committee.
So yeah, I think the basic strategy I like to play with Iron Man is depending on the map. He's very map intensive, so if you have a map with long sight lines and plenty of cover, he can be fun because you can, poke enemies while they're coming out of doorways. Take cover behind something, but then you power up your ability and you float these points of cover, and you can shoot enemies and if they're grouped up, the splash damage can earn you ult pretty fast. And then he can also be sneaky with, like, if you know the enemies are coming from an area and you can gain altitude, right? Then we could hide like this, and then he's especially potent when you're raining down on the enemies. Melee characters in particular, because there's not a whole lot they can do. Ranged characters, Punisher, Hela, Hawkeye, they can, fire back, and if Hela or Hawkeye gets a headshot or they can kill you pretty quick. So you hover the cover, and then you shoot down at them, and if you're within that range, then you can finish them off. It is nice to, if you're trying to pick off like a backline healer, right? You take a flank route so they don't really see you, and then you can sneak up on them and hit them from behind, and it's a nice way to weaken the team. As Iron Man, I would also recommend that you play the maps and you look to heal yourself. Don't really depend on your healing from your teammates. Pick up the health packs. Health packs restore 300 hit points, which will fully restore Iron Man because he only has a maximum of 250. But the other bigger tanks characters, that have more than like 600 hit points or whatever, it's only healing half. So just keep that in mind. But this is an Iron Man guide, Chris. Got it. Just throwing the information out there. So, Iron Man can be difficult to heal if you're healers don't have the best accuracy,
I don't think that's
and you're
welcoming
flying
to me.
around and you're moving. It can be hard to hit, and then plus you're typically going to kind of play off angles, or I mean you can play with your team, but I've noticed it really depends on the map and the team comp that you're going against, whether or not you want to play with your team or closer to get heals and support from your team, or if you're going to play further away. But I do notice when I am on Ironman, I don't get healed as much because I'm not like grouped up with the team, and with the tank and the DPS and then the healer in the back line, just kind of with their looking straight ahead, just healing. So you want to be self-sufficient. Find out where the health packs are at. That way you don't, die. Okay.
Maximum.
So I think that's it for the guide. If you want to check out some of the gameplay, I've got some on the YouTube channel. Check out the playlist right over here. So thanks, everybody. I appreciate you watching. Thumbs up if it was helpful. I'll see you in the next one later.